Javier, thank you so much indeed. And I want to begin by giving my apologies that I can't stay here for all of your conference today. I have to leave as soon as I've spoken, as it's my father-in-law's funeral. But I particularly still wanted to be here in order to welcome you and to thank the people who've organised today's event. Asia House, the BABC, the International Bank of Azerbaijan, the City UK, and of course the London Stock Exchange. And there could be no better place for hosting an event like this. As many of you will know, that the motto of the London Stock Exchange is Dictum meum pactum, my word is my bond. And that runs through everything which they do, the integrity which they bring to relationships, which is so important in the discussions which are relevant to companies represented here today. To me, the countries around the Caspian present just the most exciting place in the world to be doing business. They are still countries which are often unknown to so many people. I find it extraordinary how many people still can't place Kazakhstan on the map in spite of it being bigger than Europe. And it is, but they are changing fast, and that there are incredible opportunities there for so many companies in so many different walks of life. And the United Kingdom has a very long history with the Caspian. If you go back 100 years, 3/4 of the cars on British roads, there weren't that many at the time, but 3/4 of them were powered by fuel which had come from Azerbaijan. The two of the greatest British companies, Shell and BP, have their origins in the countries around the Caspian. And those countries are just as important to them today. For BP, Azerbaijan and Russia are their two perhaps most important markets anywhere in the world. For Shell and BG in Kazakhstan, for Dragon Oil in Turkmenistan, that these are countries which matter immensely to those companies and therefore to the British government as well. And when we bring together as many people today from as many different organisations as there are, it reminds us, I think, of two things. First of all, that trade binds us together. And in times of political stress, trade leads to better understanding, to closer ties, and to shared values. And when there is political stress, I think we need to work even harder to improve those ties and to improve that understanding. And the second thing is that it really reminds us that the UK wants to be at the heart of that process. And especially in this great city, which is so central to good practice around the world in terms of finance and accounting, in terms of law and legal practices, of good governance. And this is the natural place to be looking for listings and IPO, and a case which we make time and time again. So the message of the government could not be clearer, that this is an area which matters greatly to the British government, and we want to matter to you as well. Now, my role as a trade envoy is there about trying to build those better relations, to try to take more trade missions to each of the countries, and to be a champion for your interests in those countries as you look to take them forward. And we are seeing those better relations emerging. Last year we took the Prime Minister to Kazakhstan, the first time a serving British Prime Minister has been to Kazakhstan since independence, a truly important moment. He was a couple of hours late, and he apologised to President Nazarbayev for being late arriving, and the President said, "We've waited over 20 years. If you think 2 hours is going to matter, don't be too concerned." We saw William Hague as Foreign Secretary in Baku last December for the signing of the Shahrdeniz II, the first visit of a Foreign Secretary to Azerbaijan for 17 years. And is bilateral in terms of those relations, and we hope that we'll be having the first visit by Foreign Minister Muradov of Turkmenistan to Britain in the coming weeks. And so those contacts and those relationships are at the heart of what we're seeking to do. And it's about broadening the relationship too, because for all of these countries, oil and gas is critically important, and it will remain vitally important for all of the foreseeable future. Indeed, the extraordinary investment, nearly 50 billion in the consortium led by BP in Shahrdeniz II, just underlines the relationship which is there and how that is getting stronger. But we need to diversify it, and we need to move it into other business areas as well. More into financial services, more into other aspects of manufacturing, into agriculture, into IT, and also critically into education. We have more young Kazakhs coming to Britain through the Bolshak scholarship program than to any other country. There are 1,000 young Azerbaijanis here studying at the moment. But we want our universities to be going to Azerbaijan, Turkmenistan, to Kazakhstan, to the other countries increasingly around the Caspian, to build up that relationship in education and their cooperation there as well. I think the other thing which the concept of the Caspian corridor brings together is that we need to look at this region in a collective whole, in terms of its totality. Because very often, for companies here, the best way into the markets will not be by going there directly. It'll be by working in partnership with others, with Turkey as a way of dealing closely with Azerbaijan, Kazakhstan and Turkmenistan because of their historic links, with Russia as access to the customs union, and in time, I hope, with Iran as well. And so we expect this to be an area that the world will increasingly get to know through those opportunities, but also through the major international events coming up, with the European Games in 2015 in Baku, the Expo in Kazakhstan in 2017, the Asian Games in Turkmenistan in 2017, and Formula One and the World Cup coming to Russia. And if Russia can make the success of those that they did of Sochi, as I think everybody would expect them to be able to do, then they're going to be remarkable occasions. So welcome to London, for those of you who've travelled to be here. We now need to reverse that process and take more people from London and Britain to the Caspian region. My experience is that these are modern, technologically advanced, welcoming, friendly, ambitious, exciting citizen countries. And this conference is another important stepping stone in that relationship, and I wish you every success in your discussions today. Thank you very much indeed.